Hello there, and welcome to the Voice Stand episode number 20 voice stands. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you that are here for the very first time, welcome. And for those of you that are here for your 20th time, welcome and thank you. And here we are. We're at the end of the year, the very last one of 2021. And I'm super excited about the lineup that we have today. We have some incredible voice influencers that get to chat with you. For those of you that are new, my name is Teri Fisher, and I'm the host of The Voice Stand. And this is all about you, getting you involved in the discussions. This is not a monologue. I'm going to try to keep my comments here to a minimum. This is all about getting you involved and having you ask questions of these incredible voice influencers. Before I go any further, I do want to give a special shout out to anybody that's new, and I also want to know where you are. And I'm starting to see people say hello in the chat. So please say hello in the chat. Tell us where you are. Tell us if you are drinking something. I'd like to know that. And if you're new, especially write down that you're new because we want to say hello to you. So I'm seeing, I see some of our voice influencers there in the chat already. That's awesome. I see Audrey. And there's Armel. We're going to hear more from Armel. There's Ian. Happy Wednesday party, people. All right. And Richard, good to see you. Got a nice little drink there going. There's Andrea. You're going to hear from Andrea in a moment. Jenny, let's go. Rebecca, hello from Cincinnati. New friend here. Jenny, welcome. Awesome. Great to have you here. Darren's from Dallas. New participant. Darren, welcome to the Voice Stand. That is awesome. So great to have you here. Nigel, there you are. Nigel's an old regular here. Tampa Bay with pineapple. Oh, that sounds good. Pineapple soda. Fantastic. And Ian is traveling and missing the treehouse. Oh, we've all seen the treehouse. Brett, Chicago. Jesse. All right, this is amazing. Thanks so much, guys. Great to have you here. Before we go any further, and I'm going to introduce you to the voice influencers in just a moment, I do want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors because this wouldn't be possible without them. So first of all, we have Amazon. I hope everybody's devices are muted. I always check this before I say it. Amazon, Alexa, thank you to the Amazon team. You guys are amazing. And it's been so wonderful to have your sponsorship and support for the entire year. For those of you that don't know, Amazon actually has a developer community on Slack for Alexa, and this channel is specifically to engage with developers, have your questions answered, get tips, and so on. So if you are not part of that, I've just put a link in the chat, and feel free to click on that and join the Slack channel where you can get some advice and some tips for all of your skills. So thanks so much to Amazon. Our other headliner sponsor is Google. And as you may know, Google partners with Modev to do voice talks. Tomorrow is actually their next one. And you're going to hear from companies on how they're leveraging voice as well as some of their outlook for 2022. And so let me share with you a link that will take you directly to the information that you need to know for that series as well. And Google has been a wonderful sponsor for the entire year as well. So thank you so much to Google. As well, we have a number of partners that I have to mention. Attention Live, we've got Ian here from the team. They have been instrumental in creating the promotional cards and the NFTs that you see, as well as general promotional support for the Voice Stand. So it's wonderful to have the support of Attention Live. Audio Brain. Audrey's here as well from Audio Brain. And I see Audrey just commented all 20 episodes. Wonderful, Audrey. All of the sonic branding that you hear during the show and afterwards in the augmented reality space is done by her team, Audio Brain. So thanks so much, Audrey, as always. And Spatial Web. Spatial Web is the platform that we use to host this augmented reality party. I hope you'll be able to join us for that. It's metaverse is the big word now. It's sort of metaverse-like where you get to walk around and interact and hear the spatial audio. So that's at the end. So stay tuned for that. Okay. So again, thanks to all of our incredible partners. Last thing, before I get to introducing our voice influencers, you're going to see a button at the bottom that says ask a question. And I can see that we've already got one question there, which is fantastic. This is where you get to type in your questions. And then, as you'll see, if you click on that ask a question part, you can, everybody else, and you included, can vote on your favorite questions. And that's how we're going to decide who gets to come on screen and ask questions of these voice influencers. This is a big opportunity to essentially pick the brains of these really influential thought leaders in the voice tech space. There we go. Those are my announcements for now. So you can, at any point now, start asking your questions. what I want to do now is I want to introduce to you our Voicefluencers for today. And I'll give you a little bit of an intro, and then we're going to bring them up on screen so that they can each say hi to you before we kick off the question section. So first of all, we've got Armel Beaudry. Armel, I'm not even going to try to say your full name. SHORTCASTMAN is what he's known as, and you'll hear, I'm sure, more about that. Armel is the CEO and founder of Treble.fm. He holds a bachelor's degree in software engineering from the University of Ottawa and has close to a decade of experience developing enterprise software. He gets bonus points for being in Canada. Good stuff, Armel. He's worked for world-leading companies in the enterprise software industry, such as Nokia. And before Treble, Armel worked on a music sharing platform that he built himself from scratch. So awesome to have Armel here, and I'm super excited to hear from him and to have him answer your questions. Thanks, Armel. Then we have Rebecca Dwenger. She is known as the EdTech Dreamer. She is currently an instructional technology consultant. She uses her passion for cutting-edge technology to ignite productivity and learning through her work with teachers and administrators. And I have a real respect for that, Rebecca, being a teacher myself as well. Rebecca has over 23 years of experience in education and was a pioneer with the use of voice assistants in and out of the classroom. She's helped integrate voice assistants into education throughout the United States, and her resources for educators can be found at bit.ly/Alexa4EDU, the number 4 EDU. So thanks, Rebecca. Super excited to get you on here as well. All right. Next, we have Andy Huels. Andy is known as the Enterprise AI Evangelist. Love that. She leads Lenovo's Enterprise AI business in North America, a global go-to-market executive with expertise in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data analytics. Her passion is to evangelize AI solutions to help large enterprises think differently about how they can leverage AI. Her diverse career includes roles with GE, ExxonMobil, Crane, Omron, General Mills, among others. She earned a BSPA degree with distinction from Indiana University and holds a certificate from MIT Sloan specializing in AI and business strategy. Super excited to hear from Andy as well. And there we go. So thank you so much, Andy, for joining us today. Next, we have the Evocator. I don't think this woman needs much of an introduction to those here in the voice den. But for a couple of you that don't know Janice, Janice is a communications consultant and multimedia storyteller for startups and global brands, a member of the George Washington University Digital Marketing Certificate Program Advisory Council, and a member of the Open Voice Network, working with the Ethical Use Task Force, the Synthetic Voice Study Group, and the media and entertainment communities. She's been involved with voice since 2017 when she started wrangling speakers for Voice Summit, and I have personal experience with that aspect. So Janice, as always, awesome to have you here. And then certainly last but not least, we have Nithya Thadani, the mom boss. Love that name. She is the CEO of Rain, a voice technology firm that builds conversational AI experiences and software. Rain has helped dozens of Fortune 500 companies design best-in-class voice applications. She brings over a decade of experience in innovation, investment banking, and private equity. She was named one of VoiceBot's top visionaries in Voice 2020 and Adweek's 10 Young Influentials in Tech. She serves as the chairwoman of Tech Mamas, a community for mothers balancing careers in technology, and she's the chapter lead of Women in Voice New York. And she holds an MBA as well. So, wow. All right. What an incredible lineup. And with that said, I'm super excited. I'm going to invite all of our Voicefluencers up on screen so that we can say hello to all of them, and then we're going to get going with our questions. So again, I can see we've got the question bank getting loaded up. And so feel free to continue to just add those questions in as I bring up our Voicefluencers. And this is a little bit of the juggling act where I'm just going to invite everybody on screen. So I see we've got Janice, we've got Armel. Awesome. Here comes Andrea and a couple more, and we are ready to rock and roll. All right. All right. So Janice, we've got you up there first. Good to see you, Janice. Who are we missing? We're missing Rebecca. Nope. And there we go. Sweet. We've got everybody. Welcome, Voicefluencers. Great to have you here. let's do a quick little round table so we can say hello and learn a little bit about each of you before we get going here with the questions. So Janice, we met back at Voice a couple of years ago, and boy, it's been fun following what you've been doing and all that stuff. So Janice, great to have you here. First of all, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you shared with us a fun little fact. Something about, there's a rumor about reciting something in Middle English. Does that ring a bell?
Only if I have enough beer. So at the next Voice Summit,
yeah,
where I may make a magical return in some form, it's a date. I will do it.
Tell everybody what it is. What is that you can do in Middle English? Because this what it is that you can do in Middle English.
Yes,
so at least they know what we're talking about.
Recite the first very long paragraph of the prologue of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and I know you're dying to hear it. But
now everybody in the chat's going to be please, Janice, everybody do it.
Yeah.
Please, Janice.
Everybody. We're good.
Well, Janice, great to have you here. I know you're doing such great work with the Open Voice Network, so super excited to hear from you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Armel, great to have you here as well. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hi, everybody. I'm really scared already because I'm thinking I'm not sure what information you're going to share. So I'm trying a little bit.
Yours, I think, yours is just it's just pure fun. I think you used to produce music for fun. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that sounds like fun.
Yeah, actually, I used to. So I grew up in Cameroon. So I used to. The only thing actually I was using computers for actually was just to kind of produce music. So I had this software called Free Loops. It's very popular now, but at the time it wasn't that popular. And so I got really creative because I think I only had a few instruments. So I had to create, and it actually was a demo software. So I was creating full-blown music with a demo software. So I had to become very creative. So I did it for a couple of years until probably 2000, probably for probably 4 or 5 years, really. So that was a side thing. And then I got busy and then, thing changed.
Well, it's not surprising then you've got treble now because there's definitely a music aspect to that. So that's awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Armel, for being here. So good to see you again. It's been a while since we've chatted. So good stuff. Rebecca, over to you. Thank you for being here as well.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Okay, now I'm just very intrigued by what you shared. So we got to hear the story. You once ran through the mud to catch a pig and drag it to the winner's circle. I've never put those words together in a sentence before, and you got to explain that.
Well, I grew up on a farm, and so every year the fair was, the important thing that you went to. You build up all year long to go to the fair. And at a certain age, when you got to high school, all of the girls could be in a pig scramble, and the guys could do a calf scramble. So the pig scramble is a big football field of mud that's super deep, and you got to run, catch a pig, and you got to drag it to the circle. And it can be it's a really good time. I mean, there's lots of people watching. I don't ever want to do it again, though. I'm good. One time's enough.
Oh my goodness! And so, is this something that you would win regularly? Is there is this like a hidden talent?
No. Once you do it one time, you win a pig for the next year.
Oh,
everybody.
Oh my goodness!
I know you want to enter now, right? So you can win a pig.
Yeah. Whoever wants to win a pig, they can just put it in the chat, and Rebecca will take care of that and get you hooked up with the next contest. So good stuff, Rebecca. Thanks so much for being here. Great to have you here. Over to you, Andrea. Thank you for joining us. I'm really excited to hear from you as well.
Glad to be here.
And you shared a little bit about you've got 4 children, boys, girls. Tell us about your and a dog, and I've got a dog as well, so that's got a special place in my heart. So tell us where you are and just a little bit about your family. How old are your kids and so on?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been a single mom for 13 years, and I have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. And one of my daughters just got home from college for Christmas break. So that was exciting. Then I immediately shooed her out of the house because we had to film this. So I'm like, hi, bye. And then I have another daughter in college and then 2 boys at home. And then this giant 150-pound dog named Penelope.
Wow.
She's an English Mastiff. So of those 5, only 1 listens to me, and she's right by my side.
I can relate to that. That's awesome. Well, I come from a family of 4 kids as well, so I can imagine how busy that is.
It's kind of chaotic. So we're hoping Penelope will not shake her head. If any of you haven't seen a Mastiff, it's kind of like a bulldog mixed with I don't know, a slime ball. So if she shakes her head, there'll be like stuff flying across the screen.
All right, well, there we go. Thank you. Even a bigger thank you to making the time to do this, because it's really appreciated. So, and then Nithya, over to you. It's so great to have you on the show. Really excited. And along the mom theme, tell us about your news, relatively new news.
I feel like I should give Andrea the mom boss title after that. But yes, I'm back from maternity leave. I just had my third, so he's 5 months. And then I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. I think I saw someone in the chat talking about getting 3 kids to bed at this moment, which is also happening behind the store. So I might be on and off camera at times.
No problem. Thank you so much for being here. I know that, I mean, everybody's got tons of stuff that they could be doing, and it means the world to me and to the community to have you all here. So awesome. With that said, let's get on with the meat of the show here and the questions. So, all right, we're going to start off with Roger Kibbe. Let's bring Roger up on screen here, and his question is about a wild and crazy prediction for voice in 2022. Let's oh boy, this is always a challenge for me. I gotta pick 2 people to answer this one. I'm gonna keep Andrea here and maybe Nithya as well, and we'll say goodbye to the other 3 for a bit, and we're gonna come back and see you 3 in a little bit. And let's bring Roger up on stage. Okay, so I've just invited Roger, and let's make sure that he's connecting here. Here we go. All right, for those of you that are new to the Voice Den, I'll just mention this as well. We do something a little fun here to keep this show moving along. We put up, let me find it for you right here, a 5-minute timer, and we count this down, and when it's done, we're done, no matter where we are. At least I try to do that. Sometimes I'll try to be ruthless today. I'll try to be ruthless. Roger, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Great to see you, Teri. Yeah.
It's been a little while.
I missed
so
the last one. How dare I? Something was missing from my life.
You're forgiven. Roger was another one of our Voicefluencers previously, so it's great to see you. All right, Roger, you know the way this works, so I'm going to start the timer and let you take it away.
Great. Yeah. So it's a really simple question because it's getting near the end of the year. It becomes prediction time, but I spice it. What's your kind of wild and crazy 2022 prediction for the voice industry? What's something cool and interesting that's going to happen?
Awesome. Andrea, do you want to kick that off?
Sure, I'll kick that off. So I think what you're going to see that's going to be really wild is at quick serve restaurants. Right now the newest voice technology is like natural language processing, voice to text in the drive-through. That's something I've just implemented with a very large global restaurant. And but what you're going to see in the future is avatars taking your order. So what's going to happen is that you're going to come up to either the kiosk or a drive-through, and you're going to see an avatar depending on who you are. So if it's a young child, you're going to see maybe Snow White or Nemo, or you may see, I don't know, a cowboy. So an avatar will take your order and process that and repeat it back to you. And so that's one area. And the second area that Lenovo is working on also is helping with ALS patients and other people with disabilities to actually coin their voice before the disability takes too much of a hold on them, and then creating an avatar out of them. And so that they can respond in the future as the ALS progresses in their own voice with their own avatar.
Awesome. I want to see Ronald McDonald as the avatar.
That might be one that you're going to see.
It's a childhood memory.
Awesome. How about you, Nithya? What do you think?
So one of the things that I think we're seeing is a rise in employee-facing voice solutions. So we often kind of think about voice as a consumer solution just because speakers and smart speakers started in the home, but a lot of that consumerization and adoption of voice has really opened up opportunities to serve new audiences. So if you just think about all of the use cases around serving employees, and actually you mentioned quick service, QSR, there are a lot of opportunities for employee solutions in that realm as well. RAIN has been really interested in this area of deskless workers. So these are basically skilled workers that very literally don't work at a desk each day like many of us. They work in industries like agriculture, healthcare, manufacturing, transportation. They actually make up 80% of the global workforce, but they are drastically underserved by technology. So only a very small portion of technology and software dollars go toward solutions for them. And I think a lot of us saw that this was emphasized during the pandemic. So I guess, to put it into context, if you've ever, tried to make a call or from a, ski lift with your gloves on, or you've ever tried to reroute maps while driving, that's more or less the technology experience that exists for workers today. They're juggling devices, they're trying to read small text on phones, they're usually wearing heavy gear. So it's not an easy process to kind of get their job done every day. And so the idea that you can build voice assistants and tools that are purpose-built to make these workers smarter every day, more efficient, and really safer through AI is really exciting. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the coming year.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's
Any
great.
other final comments?
I love they're both kind of well, it's B2C, I guess, is the avatar, but business driven voice applications, which I think is kind of where we're seeing a lot of innovation in the industry. So I think that's great. Thank you so much. Now you have to come back in a year and see if you got
see if we were right.
Exactly.
That's always the
danger of predictions. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, then I'm going to stop the timer. We beat the timer on that one. Thanks so much for the question, Roger. Really appreciate that. Great question to kick it off here. So sure. Awesome. All right. We'll see you again soon, Roger. Okay. Great. Let's dip into the question bank here. And this one looks like this one's specifically for Janice. Harm in recording someone's voice. Okay, interesting. I'm going to bring up Janice and also Rebecca for this one to get Rebecca's take on this because of the work that she does with kids. So I'm going to say goodbye to you two for a bit here, and we'll see you back shortly. Okay. All right. So let's I'm going to invite you up on screen, Jesse, for this question. And I'm going to invite back up Janice and Rebecca. Okay. And now everybody should be connecting. Here we go. There's Janice.
Hello.
And there is, somebody's got some feedback there. Let me see if I can mute that for a sec. All right, there we go. Hi, I think that might be yours, Jesse. Are you able to, you don't have headphones, I suppose, or you can just turn down your volume a little bit. That might help with the feedback. There we go.
Is this helping at all?
I think so. How are you, Jesse? Great to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
I'm great. Thank you, Teri. It's so great to be here. A big fan of what you all do. And I just, I had a question I would love to ask. As a big fan of the voice space, as well as novels that take place in dystopian futures, the question is, what is the harm in recording my voice or having someone record my voice?
So Janice, why don't you kick that off? And then I'm also interested in sort of Rebecca's take on this, even if we'd slightly change it a bit, just because I know she does work with kids in schools. So Janice, why don't you kick it off anyway?
It's all good. Hey, Jess, thank you for that. That's an awesome question. And thank you. My work at the Open Voice Network is really important to me because we're at this wonderful stage now where so many great things can happen with your voice if it's recorded, right? We can use it for all kinds of amazing things. But I guess the question is, who's going to use it and what are they going to use it for and for how long? And what happens then? Are they going to share it with people? Because your voice has a lot of great info in it, all right? You've got biomarkers and biometric information. So in other words, you can tell it's Jesse. We know it's you, but we can also tell your gender or even your health. There was somebody at the Open Voice Network at the, actually at Voice Summit who entered the voice space specifically because he heard that his brother's voice had changed. And it turns out that his brother had schizophrenia, an onset for the first time. And so the fellow began to be interested in what happens, in the voice. So you might wonder, well, what's the harm then if I'm just buying something? Well, the question is, who's keeping that information? And is it going to end up at your next employer when they kind of figure out, well, we're using this information for figuring out, we know the characteristics of a good leader. Well, what if the information they fed in are all the last CEOs of the last 100 years and all they had were a bunch of old white guys? I mean, that could happen. And it could say, you're not a match, buddy. So you got to be careful. You've got to give your permission. You got to know you're using it, and you're just getting started. So get out there. Rebecca, what about those kids? Like, what if the voice is recorded in their toys? Aren't those happening now?
So it's great that got this question right off the bat, because I would say, the number one barrier the last, 5-6 years that I've been working on this is, okay, if they're recording that child's voice, especially when we're talking about 13 and under, it's a personal identifiable part of their record, which is super important education to not have happen. And so, like you said, not just recording it, that's not necessarily the problem. It's what's going to be done with it. And then I would have to say, I am working with the Open Voice Network Education Group, and we're slowly working towards more of an education on that, because you've got, the parents that, okay, are you going to make this decision that your kid can be recorded, and why, and what are the benefits, and what's happening with all of this stuff. So there's a ton of education that needs to happen to the parents all the way down to the educators that are going to try to use this with kids. And then also the kids. The kids need to be educated on what's happening with their voice and be able to make a decision. Do I want that to happen? And so there's a whole lot more with that, but yeah, that's what we're working. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Awesome.
Those are excellent points.
Leslie just said, what about spoofing voice? She's absolutely right.
I'm reading the chat right now, and here's a question from Leslie Pound, kind of an add-on. What about spoofing voice?
Well, yeah, you know what? That's like deep fakes now, right? That used to be the weakness of deep fakes. Like, it looked like the person, but it didn't sound like the person. Well, with synthetic voice, oh my goodness, it's happening. We can, little by little, it's hard to fool a machine, but boy, you can fool your treasurer into writing a check, because this has already happened in the real world. So, yeah.
It's so great that the Open Voice Network is there to tackle some of these issues head on, and at least provide some guidance, because I think that's critical. So kudos to everybody. I know there's other people here that are part of the Open Voice, and then my timer's going off, so I have to cut myself off now. So all right. Hey,
bye,
Jesse, thanks so much for the question. Great
You're
question.
awesome.
Really appreciate that one.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks for being here. Okay. Awesome stuff. All right. Quick reminder to everybody, please continue to put your questions in, or if you don't have a question, read through the questions that are there and vote on your favorite ones, so that we know which ones we should answer next. All right. And we have JS says, I would like to, I'm just keeping an eye on the chat here, so I'd like to partner and contribute towards a software professional. How can I help? Okay. If anybody would like to reach out to Jaya, that's a offer there that somebody should definitely get in touch.
Go to the openvoicenetwork.org, openvoicenetwork.org, and
there you go.
Find everything you need. Contact
awesome.
info as well.
Awesome. Okay. Let's, I'm going to come back to your question, Leslie. I just want to get Armel up here as well. And one of the questions here, I want to bring up Ian to answer this one to ask this one of all the things in 2021. What was the most encouraging development that you can share with us, so that we can get Armel up here? And Leslie, I definitely will come back to your question as well. So let me invite Ian up on screen. I'm going to say goodbye to you two ladies for a bit. All right. And then we will see you back shortly. I want to bring Armel up. So Armel, I'm going to invite you up. Let's go back over here. Okay. Here we go. And let's hear from Nithya as well, because I know you've done a lot of interesting things over the past year. So let's bring you up as well there. Hello, Ian. How's it going?
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday. You've got a bunch of questions, Ian. So the one that seems to be rising to the top here so far is the one about well, now I lost it. They're jumping around as people are voting, which is great. Keep doing that, everybody. Of all the things you worked on in 2021. Okay. All right. So Ian, I'll let you ask the question. You can go ahead. All right. Go for it.
So I asked one for Armel. So I was just asking about the shortcasts and your thoughts on integration with the metaverse, your thoughts on integration with NFTs. I'd just love to hear your insights on that.
So let's get him to answer that one. There was another question as well, and then we'll get Nithya to answer the one about like a contribution in 20 or something great that happened in 2021. You've got so many questions there, Ian. But go for it.
I figured there's no questions. I should just start writing questions for everybody.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, Armel, you take that one. Go for it, and then we'll throw it over to Nithya for the other one.
Yeah, I'll try to be concise. So I think just on NFTs, NFT will probably change a lot of things for the better. But I'll probably expand the question will be and talk about the blockchain, not just NFTs. But I'm going to answer NFTs and expand quickly with the time that I have. So I think NFT is going to be really useful, probably more in the context of storytelling. Just for the, you can do a lot of, if you're creating short form content for scripted stories or scripted content. I think NFT is going to be a plus there, just because you can create the content, but then you can actually allow other people in the community or the blockchain to have a piece of it or have it considered some kind of art, really. So I think it's going to be really influential in the context of storytelling, short form content. Now I wanted to quickly, because I saw the question, I thought it was a really interesting question, and I don't have a lot of time, but I want to kind of quickly expand as well on the blockchain, which is obviously the technology that's used to create NFTs. And I think blockchain specifically will be even more impactful in the context of shortcasts, just because of earlier we had a question on the voices and how ownership and security and all those things. But I think with the blockchain, we will be able to actually allow people to have more control over their content, their voice, and you will start seeing, I'm guessing probably in the next 5 to 10 years, more companies having their company structure in a way where part of it is reside on the blockchain, or it will be NFT or any kind of similar technologies, just to give users or people enough control on their content or whatever they do on their product or their platform. So I'm just gonna shut it out here because I know I only have 2 minutes 30 seconds.
That's great. And actually, if you want to comment on sort of metaverse or that sort of stuff as well, feel free to do that. Or if you want to share something,
I'll go. Yeah, I was going to joke to Ian that I might pass on your metaverse question until I have some maternity leave reading up to do on the metaverse. But I saw your question on kind of what's been exciting in the past year, and I think for us, it's been really interesting to see kind of the proliferation of custom and brand-owned assistants. It's something that I think the industry, we've been talking about for a long time, is, you're going to get to a point where brands are investing in creating their own versions of kind of an Erica. And really, we've seen that come to life in the last year, especially in the types of requests and jobs that we've been doing for some of our clients. So if you think about, an Erica, Mercedes, Walmart has Ask Sam. That's really an evolution in from where we started. Companies are really thinking about how these assistants are going to sit on their own channels, how they're going to have greater control over the user experience, over the data. And to me, it really shows a maturation of the market that companies are now willing to invest in building their own AI assistant technology. It's also interesting because Google and Amazon are also kind of showing a willingness to participate in that space as well. So when you think about custom wake words and kind of moving outside of some of the restraints we had early on, there's a more openness and willingness to that. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what assistants brands are creating over the next couple of years.
That's very exciting. One other thing that JP and Brandon mentioned from the other two agencies was the need for talent. And I saw Mark Tucker mention that as well. Do you want to let us know what type of people you're looking for at Rain? That way maybe our network can help you find those folks.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we're very lucky to have gotten Mark Tucker, so that was a good get on our part. You know, we have been moving a lot more into the software space, especially when you think about some of the builds we've been doing in the employee-facing solution industry. So we've been working in construction, automotive, kind of retail operations, and when you think about those kind of software roles, we're really, I mean, I think everyone is. Sorry about that. Engineer.
Definitely finish your answer there. You could share
I
what
mean,
you're looking for.
I think for us, the hardest talent to find all of the time is the engineering talent. So, I think that's why we were lucky to get Mark. When it comes to the engineers, like, it's not really something you want to necessarily freelance or outsource. Like, you really want to bring people on full time, make sure they're committed to what we're building and part of the team. And so we found that the process of just finding those hires, vetting them, and really getting in the door has been tough. I just think there's a lack of that type of talent out there today. So
awesome.
Yeah,
great. Thank you for the question, Ian. As always, you always got lots of questions and always really, really thought provoking. So I appreciate that. And thank you to two of you for answering the question. Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
With that said, let me dip in here, and I'm going to invite Leslie up on screen now. So Leslie, let's invite you up, and I think I'm going to bring up Janice and Andy for this one. Let's do that here. Bring up Janice and Andy. All right. Janice and Andy. Okay. This is a very interesting question. Welcome back. Welcome back, Janice.
Hi, let's see.
And hello, Leslie. Welcome. Welcome to the Voice Den. Great to have you here.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Leslie. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Janice.
Hi, great to see you. It's another Open Voice Network contributor.
All right, there we go. There's everywhere I turn, there's Open Voice Network people. John Stein, who I know is in the chat there, he's like has recruited an entire army, I think, of people. Like, it's like an entire country of Open Voice Network ambassadors and supporters and so on. So shout out to John. All right.
Inspiring.
That said, sorry.
He's inspiring.
He is. Leslie, I'm going to turn this over to you. Really thought-provoking question. And why don't I turn it over to you and let you ask that question? So you can go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So I think the view of voice has always been, if I can use my own words to get whatever I want, then it opens up this whole vista of applications. And we don't seem to be there yet. That's my opinion. But I would like to know if you agree. Why can't I ask my washing machine why it's not gyrating right and why it got stuck and questions like that. Why can't I get exactly what I want when I need it? But maybe you have a different opinion. So I'd love to hear how you think voice tech has thrived or not, and if so, why or why not.
Great. Who wants to start? Janice or Andrea?
Do you want to start, Andy?
Go ahead, Andrea.
Sure. I can go ahead and give you a couple of insights there. So I do think it's thrived, but I do think there's still some challenges to get over. The first of those is latency. And what latency means is like a delay. So if you're trying to use the cloud for conversational voice AI, there's this odd delay. So has it really reached its full potential? Absolutely not, because when we talk to either chatbots on the phone that really sound awkward and we're fighting with them almost, it's called transactional friction. And that's one thing that really needs to, we really need to evolve in voice AI, conversational AI. And, I work for Lenovo. What does Lenovo have to do with this? We create the edge devices that go in retail or manufacturing or restaurant environments. And I just so happen to have one in my lap today, not that I normally do, but this is an edge device. So I just wanted to show it to you.
Wow.
And that's what handles voice AI at, say, a drive-through or a retail establishment. So to answer your question, I think there's areas that I'm excited about. And the fact that it used to be for every single AI, voice AI type of application in a restaurant, you had to have a separate edge server. But now Lenovo just came out with a server that you can put like 14 different AI solutions in the same server, because you don't want to stack 14 of these boxes on top of each other in a tiny little manager's office. So, so I think, you know, the industry is rapidly evolving. There goes the dog. And, and I'm excited about its potential for the future.
Yeah. So, and you're welcome to speak to your washing machine. It's just not going to speak back right now, but it will. It will. Right now, we're kind of beholden to these two, you know, some companies that are all the information's going through, and you know, that's great. But 50% of the people who are using this, according to the Voice Consumer Index, a study sponsored by the Open Voice Network, and conducted, was it Rain, JP? And so his gang put it out there, and 50% are concerned about privacy concerns, but also it's a little wonky. Have you had one of those awkward chatbot conversations? It's much better now, but you know, they don't always understand language, you know, different accents, different kind of things, but it's getting there, and we're getting to hopefully the point where the worldwide voice web might blossom. Wouldn't that be marvelous? So that edge computing can then just be their own, you know, people that receive your information and control it. So, you know, it's a big field out there. I love the players in it right now. It's awesome. And it just needs to evolve. You know, public perception about privacy and security is changing, and people are starting to feel that they want to know a little bit more about what's happening. So, you know, it's exciting, but I'm watching the countdown.
Well, we beat the countdown. Unless there's any other comments, please. That we've still got another 45 seconds.
Well, I would just say that, you know, it's still frustrating, right? I think people think it's still evolving. And the deployment I just had in the drive-through is 4 languages. But honestly, in Atlanta, 80% of the population is not from Georgia. It's really a melting pot. And, you know, we're going to need to learn Hillbilly English and Swahili and you name it to really make it, reduce the transactional friction. So, you know, just the other day I was fighting with, you know, my bank, you know, chatbot, that it was the bank, right? And all I kept saying over and over, representative. So I think there's still ways to go. And as soon as customers feel like, wow, that was so much easier than talking to a human, I think then we've won.
There we are. I was a little bit late with the timer there. That went off. I was getting so focused on the conversation that I forgot to hit the timer button. Awesome. Well, that's I mean, Leslie, that's a great question, and then we could probably talk about just that question for an hour on its own. But thank you very much for that question. I really appreciate that. Thank you for being part of this. So
thank you.
There we are. Awesome. Bye for now, Leslie. Okay. Good stuff. Let's see, I'm just aware of the time. We can probably get 1 or 2 more questions in here. Let's jump into the question bank. And if you have not asked a question yet, here's your chance. Ian has another quite popular question. So I'm going to bring him back up. Oh, this is a perfect question for Rebecca as well. So, okay, I'm going to say goodbye to Janice and Andy for a bit. All right. And oh, sorry, Janice. We cut you off before you got to say whatever you're going to say there. All right. So let me invite up Rebecca. Hello again, Ian.
Well, hi.
Hello. I'm just inviting up our Voicefluencers. But while they're coming up, you're not in the treehouse right now, I see. Where are you exactly?
I'm traveling. I'm all over the place. I've only been home for a week in the last 2 months. I have been all over the nation. Doing meetings.
You've been busy.
Here I am with all of you. This is where I want to be.
You've been very, very busy.
Very busy.
So you have indeed. I'm also going to bring up Armel. We'll get his take on there's sort of a couple questions that we can ask here, Ian. I mean, like I said, you asked tons of questions. The one that I'm interested in having Rebecca answer in particular is the thing about guiding. If you could guide one thing in children, conversational AI in the future, But let me let you to sort of explain a little bit about your question, and then we can also get Armel's take on that, or also we can also tailor that question a little bit for him as well. But I'd love to start off with the one you have for Rebecca. Go for it.
So,
it's all you.
So Rebecca, I asked about rural areas since you grew up in a farm. Just wondering what your thoughts are in how in the next decade rural areas might use conversational AI compared to urban areas, maybe specifically to education, but just in general as well.
Okay, and then move on to the other question as well.
Sure.
I'm really excited to answer that one.
Ian has so many questions that it's hard to. Ian, the other question that you had was.
Well, how would you like to see kids use conversational AI?
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Go for it. I can do the
I was just coming up
thing
with questions.
really
I just thought there's not enough questions. I need to come up with some questions.
Well,
Rebecca, you get to answer any question you want.
That's
well,
right.
I'll do the rural urban thing really fast and then move into the other one. But honestly, I mean, we already know there's a big, huge divide between, the rural kids and all of that. And that's actually was magnified during the pandemic, or even brought more to light. But as far as voice technology, what's funny is a lot of them have phones, and the voice technologies that's on the phones, I see a little less of a barrier because they have that phone data versus trying to go and buy another device and use Wi-Fi and all that. They already have a phone. So that's kind of my small thing on that. But the other question, I'm so excited. I mean, the EdTech dreamer. So this is what I do at night. I dream of what is it going to look like in the future for these kids. And when we specifically think of young kids, what I'm seeing more and more from things that are coming out there is that these devices for learning in the classroom and everything, there's a specific benefit for the teacher using it, and then there's specific benefit for the kids. What I'd like to see is for a young child to be able to go to school, move around to whatever classrooms that they go to through the day, head home, all of that, and that voice assistant goes with them, that profile goes with them. And I know that's super way up here, but I mean that's the dream. But I want it to be accurate. Right now, even Google and Alexa, when you ask them, aren't always accurate. If you look into some of that. So I need it to be really, 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 really accurate and give really good immediate feedback. In the classroom, you've got 20 to 30 young kids in a classroom. That's a lot of kids for one teacher. So I want it to be able to give immediate feedback instead of a kid going off now. What you find in young classrooms a lot is kids are working. A teacher might have a small group and kids are working independently, and they may not get that immediate feedback that a voice assistant could provide. So I think that's huge. And then I want it to be adaptive. And so it can advise the kids on maybe what they should be learning or what tasks might help them to learn something. So I want all of those things. And I really want it to really help out the special education kids, because 1 in 5 kids in school has a student with a disability. And I've worked a ton in that realm with voice assistants, and I've already seen the benefits. So I want something that a special education student can learn how to use that will make their life even better, even as they get older, and maybe even those that are transitioning into the world on their own, and how, I'm going outside of the young learners to the older learners. But, instead of trying, we teach some kids with special ed how to do life skills, and how can a voice assistant go from, their classroom now into the real world and help them out that way. So something along that realm as well. So hopefully that answered your question. I could go on and on.
It's very inspiring. Thank you.
That's awesome. And Armel, what do you think, in terms of just the future, and you can take this any way you want, really.
Yeah. So that's she said a lot, but I want to maybe just quickly add a few things. I think what I think is interesting with voice and education, especially for younger kids, the fact that it could open up a lot of personalization for kids that are learning, right? So I guess when you're in the classroom, you have one teacher that educate the whole classroom. I don't know how many students you have, so it's one message for the whole class. So if you want clarification, then you have to kind of interrupt the rest of the class to maybe get your personal understanding of the situation and things like that. But I think with voice assistant, and that technology in general, I think like there's this possibility to allow kids to learn, have a better learning experience, right? Because they can ask specific question and have the assistant and also answer the question, but also it allows them to just through the voice to be able to express themselves clearly. So I think that personal assistant, helping, guiding, adapted to the learning experience, I think there's a lot there to develop. So I think it's just exciting. Just actually, that's a really good question, honestly, just because it kind of shows when you look at the education system today and you think about voice and how impactful this can be for people that are learning, you can see how much there's still to build, basically, right? So there's still a lot to go, but I think there's a lot of possibilities there.
That's awesome.
I want to finish before the timer.
Great.
You did it. You did it.
did great.
You're right in there. You're
I'm
right in there,
impressed.
Armel. Nice job. Ian, thanks again. As always happens on here, each one of these questions could be a whole hour show and just on one topic. So anyway, thanks, Ian. Great to have you again with another really thought-provoking question. So thanks. We'll see you again soon, Ian. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, so let's go into. I'm looking at the time. I think we have enough time for one more question, and what we're going to do a little different. This is going to be the final question of 2021. And Armel, you actually asked this question, and I think it's a wonderful way to wrap up this show and really the year of the Voice Den. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to bring all of the Voicefluencers on, and we're going to do a quick kind of rapid, hot take. What do you think about this question? And Armel, you're going to get to lead. You're going to get to lead this question. So let me just bring up everybody, and I think this will be a fun way to end things here. So we've got Rebecca. Let me invite up Andy. Oops, there we go. And Nithya. And I need to find, there you are, Janice. All right. And feel free to take some liberties here if you want to kind of take this question in a different direction when it comes to you. I think it's just a fun way to, like I say, kind of, I think, wrap up the year. So, Armel, why don't you ask the question? We're going to have like a minute
my own
each.
question.
Sorry? You get to answer your own question.
I get to answer my own question.
You get to answer your own question. Or I'll ask the question. I'll ask the question for you, and you can start us off. How's that?
All right. Sounds good.
All right. So here's the question. I'm going to set the timer up, and here we go. So the question is, what could the influential players in the voice space do to move the voice space forward in 2022? So Armel, why don't you start us off?
Well, I think what the influencers, I don't want to put any names, but I think there is a need to have better collaboration, certainly better tools. I think there's a lot. I just piggybacking on the question I asked earlier about education. I think there's a lot more spaces that can be impacted by voice. So I think it's important for the influential players to really kind of start. And I think we already start seeing in 2021, but I think it would be good to get those players to dive more into different verticals, I'll say, of voice and having voice integrated in all those different verticals. So I think that would be maybe not necessarily step. I think the voice assistant in general, like Alexa, Google Assistant, Bixby, all those things was a great start, but I think there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more impact to bring when in different verticals. So having big players do that, I think would be amazing.
Awesome. Great. Rebecca, how about over to you?
Well, I'm going to be real quick with this one. What could they do? They could make a kid voice assistant. that right there could move it forward in 2022. That would please school districts and everything and get past all of the barriers to make it happen. So
when you say that voice, just to clarify, when you say, you mean like basically taking into account these different challenges and the barriers that you're hearing all the time. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah. I mean, the privacy issues and,
right.
all of that, and, creating something or at least educating on how that's actually, how that information, what's happening to it. Because I mean, I know it's there, but it's not there in layman terms that a school district is they struggle to kind of understand. And so if they don't understand it, they're like, no. So maybe even more education on what's happening and more description, you know, on those types of things, bringing the technology, that technical language down a little bit so you can understand more. Because once they're scared, they're just out.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. No, that's great. Andy, over to you.
Yeah. You know, what's awesome about the voice community is that it is a community. I feel like it's like a group of friends that all want to help each other succeed. But where we could really improve is to go from being just a community to a technology ecosystem and understanding how the parts work together and developing solutions together. So for example, many of you are independent software vendors, like the secret sauce that enables the technology to work. I am the infrastructure provider, right? So I have the server that lies on, that your software is in, but then we also have the GPU provider like an NVIDIA that enables AI and the CPU that enables the memory. And then you have a system integrator sometimes as well. So all those players need to actually work together to optimize how well the software performs on that platform. So I would say that's, you know, what I would recommend for 2022 is that we evolve to regard ourselves as a technology ecosystem and not just hope that, wow, my software is so cool, you know, as long as I sell it to a McDonald's, it'll work perfectly, because it won't unless you pick the right server and CPU and GPU and all of that.
Great. Okay. Janice, take a minute and then we'll make sure that Nithya, you have a minute as well. So don't worry too much about the timer for this one, but go ahead, Janice.
Talk to your stakeholders. Give people what they want. Don't just guess. If you're making something for blind people, ask a blind person. Every organization, every condition you might have, illness, you know, a disability, or whatever we are supposed to call, you know, the things that people are facing, there's an organization for it. Talk to them, work with them, make good things. It'll make money.
There you go. And Nithya, what are your thoughts on that for 2022?
Quick answer would be just greater consistency around and collaboration around KPIs for voice. What we're finding is that brands are much more sophisticated and kind of in this position of go, no-go decisions on whether they're going to invest in voice or not. And they know a lot more about the KPIs and which business drivers are possible through voice. And, you know, I think it's confusing. You know, there are instances in customer service, for example, or if you're speaking to a bank where you want a very quick interaction, you don't want to chat. In the example that some of you have provided with children, you want to create an engaging experience where they are, you know, spending a lot of time speaking to these assistants. And, you know, there's a lot of nuance between industry and you know, the idea that we can actually get a little more sophisticated and help brands understand what the expectations are around KPIs, both in the near term and long term. I think as an organization, all ships will rise as an industry if we can get more clear on that together.
Fantastic. And thank you all. What a great way to end. So there's a lot of opportunity for collaboration. I'm hearing, you know, reaching out to different stakeholders, working together, and what a wonderful way to end this and to end the Voice Stand for 2021. I've got a couple of quick announcements, but just before I let the five of you go off the screen, I want to say thank you to all of you for taking the time and to share a little bit of your expertise with all of us. I always learn something new here, and it is wonderful to be able to have a short little evening like this and chat with all of you. So thank you to all of you, to Rebecca, Armel, Andy, Janice, and Nithya. Thank you so much. And
thank you for including
hopefully we'll
Lenovo.
talk to you more soon. All right. And with that said, I'm going to just say goodbye to the five of you. I just got a quick couple of announcements here, and then we're going to wrap things up. And then hopefully we'll see you all over in the augmented reality space. So goodbye to the five of you just for now. And what I want to say is typically at this point, I would be sharing the Voicefluencers for the next session of the Voice Den. But I can't do that just yet because there's a special episode of the Voice Den coming up in January. And what I can tell you is that it's something that you have not seen before. And it is something that's going to be brand new. something that I believe is a first for the voice industry. And there's a little teaser, but I can't tell you just yet until we get the date and these guests confirmed. So just stay tuned to social media and my emails and so on, and I will be sharing with you. I'm really excited about it. And as soon as I can, excuse me, as soon as I can, I'm going to be sharing all the details with you. It's going to be something really, really special, I believe. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this next episode of The Voice Den. So stay tuned for that. The other thing I want to mention is just if you haven't been part of our augmented realities party, we are going to be heading over there very, very soon. It's like I say, it's the metaverse is the catchphrase these days. You get to walk around. There's my little avatar on that screenshot in there in a 3-dimensional space, walking around, and you get to chat with people. All the spatial audio is apparent, and the sound that you hear is all done by Audio Brain. So it's like you are actually in the bar, in the voice den, and out on the deck and hear the ocean, and in the streets and hear the cars, etc. The key thing to know is that you use, it's best if you use a desktop with a keyboard, have headphones on so that you can hear the spatial audio, and use your arrow keys to go forward and back and right and left. There's a lot more to it, but those are the basic controls. So there you go. I want to give a shout out again to our sponsors, Amazon, Google. Thank you so much for being part of this. And with that, I'm going to sign up with our credits, and then I will put the link in the chat as well to the spatial audio space, and I will see you all there. Thank you so much for being part of the Voice Den. Whether this was your first time, your 20th time, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. If I don't speak to you in the other space, all the best for the new year. And I look forward to seeing you and speaking with you all again very soon in January. So take care, everybody. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.